What is up, everybody? How's it going? Of course, I have to adjust my, what side is that? My green screen a bit. 1 second here. Okay, I think we're good now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. How's everybody's week so far? Coca Koala, what's up? Joel, what's happening? So where we left off with this project last time, we're not at the same place anymore. So I got pretty frustrated with, yeah, Twitch emotes do, but YouTube ones don't. So like the custom YouTube ones, they don't work. But if you use like a Twitch emote on YouTube, using like whatever the extension is, I can see those too. But yeah, so a lot of things have changed since the last video I made on this project. And by a lot of things, I mean pretty much everything except for the overall idea. I got really tired of Suabase's, the different tables or the different schemas, different whatever, with the Supabase Postgres, I started running into some issues. I just didn't like it. I was having to make like requests all over the place just to get a simple thing, right? So I tried, editing the metadata of the user. I basically just gave up on it. I was just tired of it. For something like this, where I want to have full control, I'm just not using it. So when I remove Supabase, what does that mean? I have to implement my own auth solution. I'm still using magic links. So I spent the past couple of days getting my own custom magic links set up. No more Supabase. No more Supabase. So we're using Redis as our session store. I'm basically over-engineering this app because I can, and it's fun. But yeah, Redis is the session store. So Redis handles all the user sessions. And then we're using PlanetScale MySQL as our database. And when you use PlanetScale MySQL, they don't have foreign key constraints, which means we cannot use Directus, or really most CMSs for that matter. I did find one that would work. I think it's called Keystone JS. Not using Pocketbase. Now everything's all custom. This is all my own stuff. The authentication's my own. The database, it's PlanetScale's database, but it's my schema. The schema is relatively the same though in Prisma. For the most part, I shrank the user down quite a bit just because maybe I didn't. I don't remember if this is what it looked like last time or not, but yeah, Lucia is what Coca Koala always tells me to use. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Isaac, and welcome Zubir and Helder. Welcome to the stream. Nice CMS, could be GitHub. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know it can act as a CMS because it's pretty much a database, right? And they have an API. I just don't know about that. I still have to like store the file. It just doesn't feel as natural to me. But yeah, I could definitely consider that. We'll see if all else fails. Yeah, sorry about that, Isaac. I stream around the same time when I do stream, and so people that are in the time zones that are opposite to me have a hard time, but I work during the day, so yeah, I guess I can run through what we have going on right now. So this is my authentication system. It lives now in 3 different places. So it lives in sessions. Let me zoom in, actually. I apologize. You guys probably can't see very well. Got laid off today so I can stay up late. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if that's a happy layoff or a good layoff or a bad layoff, but if it's bad, I'm sorry. So we're storing this is where all my session logic's going behind the scenes. And basically we're using Redis as a session store. So actually, let me just pull up my browser here. One second. Okay. You're good. I guess I can just draw this out really quick and kind of show what I'm doing. Bad layout with some good leads. So a nice paid vacation with a better pay in the future. That's awesome. Good for you. Glad you're staying positive about it. I started doing this and then I went and ate dinner and then I didn't get time to finish it before the video. But essentially what we have here is we have the, MySQL, which is running on PlanetScale as our database, free tier. Redis, I'm actually using Redis Cloud. They're free tier as well. So what happens is that all of my So when a user first makes a request, right? When a user registers for my site or logs in, the same logic applies pretty much. The only difference is when they log in, if they don't already have an account in the database, I create the account for them, and then everything else is still the same. But basically, so my users are all stored here. So this is where I store my users and then all my other data, right? So users, courses, yada, yada, yada. Inside of MySQL. Redis is strictly responsible for the sessions, right? And a session in this case is, let me show you real quick. This is what a session looks like. And what I pretty much did was I pretty much ripped a bunch of logic from Auth.js because I don't know what's wrong with that. I don't know what's wrong with that package right now, but it's like, I can't even deal with it. I know I'm complaining about open source software. I know it could potentially contribute and make it better. I'm just flustered that everybody's asking me to try it out, and then I go to try it. All the types are messed up. There's like 10 duplicates of the same files everywhere. So like there's @auth/core, there's nextauth/core providers, there's or adapters providers. So it's just kind of messy right now. So I'm going to wait until that gets cleaned up before I even touch that. But I am using kind of some of the stuff from their adapter logic. I just pretty much made my own. But a session contains, so on our browser, let me log in really quick here. So I just sent a magic link to myself. I'm using Node Mailer for that. Let me log into my test email here. So I get this magic link. This is my own one. It's going to look sketchy right now because I don't have it, set up fully yet. But now I'm logged in, right? So when I go to my application tab here, you can see that I don't need this anymore. I don't need this. I don't need this. I have this HByte session, right? And all this is a UID. So all this is a UID. And what happens is that's my session ID. So when I'm making a request that would require me to be authenticated, which I guess in really every request in my app, I'm pretty much making that request. So as I'm sure you're aware, in most authentication systems, you're going to do something with event.locals.session. You've seen get Subabase, the Pocket Base, the everything gets taken care of in the hooks, the handle hook. So we're getting the user session here, which I just passed the whole event. But what this does is it takes the session ID from that cookie. And what it does is it runs this await get session, which is an abstraction to my Redis cache. So I'm getting it from the cache. I'm basically looking up that session ID. And what is stored in there inside of the cache is this. So I have my session ID, of course. That's how I'm able to look it up. I actually don't need to store this in there, but I think I'm doing it for another reason. The user is here as well. Hey, thanks for the follow. Whoever just followed, I got to look at my Twitch. Let me see here. Condor Mom, welcome. Thanks for following. Appreciate that. So yeah, this is what's stored in this session. So nothing is on my browser, right? Everything is happening on the server. So what happens is I make a request to my server. My server then goes and gets the session from the Redis cache, which is super quick, by the way. Way faster than making a database call. Is it over engineering? Absolutely. Could you put a session table in the MySQL database and not notice too much of a difference? Absolutely. I just wanted to try this out. And I've done this in the past with some Nest APIs. And I like Redis a lot. It's just super simple to use. It's literally a key value store. You get, you delete, you update. Yeah, exactly. So so yeah, basically I'm getting this, when I go and get that from Redis, it is returning to me this type here. So now inside of my event.locals.session, I have access to all these different things, right? Including the user. So when I'm console logging this now here, so if I open up my console here, we can see that we have the session ID, the user, and the expires. Now what expires is therefore, it's actually not the expiration of the cookie. Let me go to my sessions here. So by default, with Redis, you can essentially set an expiration period, right? And you can see here, that's what I'm doing with this EX. Basically, I have it set to 1 week by default, which is, okay, if this session doesn't get touched at all, it'll be expired in a week. Meaning if you don't ever make a request to my site for a week, you're gonna have to re-log in, right? I think it's a pretty fair amount of time. However, with every request you make to my server, this number gets refreshed, right? However, I do have the expiration, and I'm still deciding on what I want to do exactly with that. But that's like my absolute expires. Like basically, you can't have a session that lasts longer than this specific period of time. You can of course expire the cookie if you wanted to, which is what I might end up doing. Actually, I think that's what I'm doing actually. I have to actually look, but basically, yeah, every time you make a request, I'm refreshing the session with a new expire date right here in Redis, and that data is staying fresh. Now, anytime I update my user, though, I also need to make sure that I'm updating this session, right? Because if I update my user's name or customer ID or something like that, I need to make sure I have that data in the cache. But yeah, so that's how I'm doing this now. So everything is stored on the server. Nothing's inside of a JWT. And it's super quick. And the reason I decided to use Redis for something like this is because of the fact that, like, I'm making a request, every single request to my application, I'm checking the session, right? So as soon as you add a few other complex queries into the mix or some other requests elsewhere, it starts to get like a little bit slow. So what's one thing that I could take and make really, really fast? And that's not all. Eventually what I can do with Redis is also cache, database queries as well. So making the same request, because here's the thing, when my courses are done, right, or there's only so much information you're gonna be getting from my database is gonna be changing that often. But then as far as the authentication goes and stuff, I have some other stuff. All this code is here if you want to check it out. But I just have some like auth methods here. I'm using Node Mailer right now with I think it's like Send in Blue or something is the email provider. Maybe it's Sendber. I don't know what it is called. Honestly, forgot what it's called. Yeah, it's Send in Blue, I think, as my email service. But I lost to Redis because of the foreign key constraint issue with PlanetScale. And I have some things to do still on the back end now. So one of the things that I wanted to do from the beginning was to be able to create a Stripe customer whenever I create a user on my application. I had some issue with that with Supabase without having to go back and forth, and then having a bunch of functions and triggers set up. It just seemed messy to me. So even though this is a little bit more work I had to do to get all this set up, it feels pretty good to have it set up at this point. So what I wanted to do is Stripe stuff first and foremost. Sorry for talking so much there. I was trying to get you guys caught up. It's not really meant to be, again, like tutorial, of course, but just so you're aware of what I'm working on. So I need to create the stripe